come to Christ. Responding to it, Vance candidly said that he does hope eventually that his wife Usha somehow believes in his belief. Here's in fact a portion of their interaction. Let's listen in.
Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to talk here today. I did not agree with many of the things that you said right ahead of this.
Now, most Sundays, Usha will come with me to church. As I've told her and I've said publicly, and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way. But if she doesn't, then God says everybody has free will, and so that doesn't cause a problem for me. That's something you work out with your friends, with your family, with the person that you love. Again, one of the most important Christian principles is that you respect free will. Usha's closer to the priests who baptized me than maybe I am. They talk about this stuff. My attitude is you figure this stuff out as a family, and you trust in God to have a plan, and you try to follow it as best as you can, and that's what I try to do.
As you've seen, the question was posed to him by a lady believed to be of Indian origin, who also pointedly criticized Vance's call to reduce legal immigration into the United States. JD Vance's remarks on hoping his wife turns Christian quickly went viral, with many accusing Vance of insensitivity towards his wife's Hindu identity and calling his words an example of religious entitlement, while many others defended Vance, saying he was merely expressing a personal wish rooted in his own faith, not demanding conversation. Vance, in a post on X, has broken his silence on this matter. He has denounced the criticism online and has said that his wife has no plans to convert, while reiterating that he hopes that wife Usha sees the things as he does. He further stated that he will continue to support and love her and talk to her about faith and life. Further defending his comments, he has also stated that as Christians, it's normal to share their belief with people, and that if anyone is saying otherwise, they're propaganding an agenda. Now for this discussion, we welcome back Raymond Vickery. He's a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce, joins us live from Washington, D.C., and another guest, former Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev. He's a former ambassador, joins us live from New Delhi. Now first, I would like to go to Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev for my first question. What do you think was the motive behind JD Vance's answering on this particular issue? Do you think it was to cater to his mostly Christian audience or MAGA audience?
Partly there, but there were other perhaps motives. Mississippi down south tends to be a more Christian traditional society in the United States, and he would have figured that making such strong assertions towards Christianity would stand him in good stead. I would also like to state here that he is vice president to someone who's nearly twice as old as he is, Mr. Donald Trump, and Mr. Trump, being on his second term, does not stand for re-election next time. So it would be natural for Mr. Vance to project himself as a likely candidate for the next election as a Republican presidential nominee. And this kind of strong, personalized statements do not do him any harm with regard to the Christian belt, with regard to MAGA, and with regard to majoritarianism that is sweeping the United States at the moment. You would recall that DEI and other anti-discriminatory provisions of the US government have been given a bye, and immigration is being seen as the evil that holds America back. Uh, we would also, I think, mention here that, uh, objectively speaking, perhaps as an outsider, there was no need for Vice President to talk about his family life.
Yes.
He would have, as a more cultivated and sophisticated politician, he would have perhaps avoided it.
Yes,
But he
indeed.
waded into it, and uh, and he gave himself the right to speak on behalf of his wife, who, like him, has a law degree from Yale. They were classmates, and she has a roaring professional practice. Now, with all that, Mr. Vance is has given himself full authority to talk about his wife's religion, whether she wants to convert or not convert. Doesn't it speak of the
Yes.
same kind of uh, patriarchy that very often Indians are, or Indians or third world countries are often accused of? Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you for sharing that, Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev. Now I'd like to take our other guest, respectable Raymond Vickery's stance on this. What do you think about this? And also critics have rolled and grilled JD Vance online, and they have been like, they have said that he has indeed thrown her and her religion under the bus. What do you think of the rhetoric and criticism about this as well?
Well, thanks very much for letting me comment on this. As I have said, it seems to me that fundamental to democracy is not just election. It's rule of law, it's freedom of the press, and it's freedom of the religion. Unfortunately, there are strong elements, particularly in the MAGA movement, the Make America Great Again movement, for Christian nationalism. And that is that you're not fully American unless you are a Christian. That a Christian nation has to be in the forefront according to Christian principles. And so it is troubling that the Vice President of the United States plays into this by really talking about his wife's religion and saying that really, in essence, that he hopes that she will convert. She can speak for herself. She is a practicer of a great religion. And we must be able to protect this freedom to choose in the United States. You know, one of the founding principles of America was freedom of religion, because people didn't want to have a state religion as they had in England. And so people who were dissenters, whether they be Puritan, whether they be Baptist, whether they be Quakers, whether they be Jews, came to the United States in order to be able to have this freedom of religion. Vance, Vice President Vance says, well, it'll all be worked out in the family and individually. Well, that's not the approach he's taken. And he ought to take note that there are many in the Christian nationalist movement who believe that you're going straight to hell if you do not subscribe as a Christian. So it is not a refuge in terms of his approach just to say, well, this is a family matter, when he is putting it in the public forum and playing directly into the thought process of Christian nationalists in the United States.
Yes, indeed, very insightful. Thank you very much for always joining us. To both our guests, Raymond Vickery and Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, for joining us and sharing that insight from Washington, D.C. and New Delhi. Now we move on to our next news. The New York mayoral elections have gained momentum as former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is inching closer to Zohran Mamdani, who has been leading the popularity polls, while Republican Curtis Sliwa is also not far behind his opponents. The trilateral competition for the New York mayoral position is getting interesting, as a recent poll found Andrew Cuomo's popularity up by 7 percentage points. A new Atlas poll stated that Mamdani is leading with 41%, followed by Cuomo, who is running as an independent, trailing at 34%. Mamdani's policies and campaign have garnered attention across the political domain. He's leading in almost all poll predictions. In polls conducted by Real Clear Politics, Mamdani leads with an average of 14.5 percentage points. Mamdani is betting heavily on socialist policies, calling for higher taxes on billionaires while pushing for a policy framework opposite to the Republican bid. Mamdani is betting heavily on the socialist policies, calling for more taxations on billionaires while pushing for a policy framework that is opposite of the Republican bid. And that's a wrap on America 360. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates.